you're in the studio and I'm singing this pop music, and I was just like, I remember saying to my parents, it's just not me. It's just not me. I'm not happy here. And long story short, about a year and a half after to making all this music, the label owner had texted me and was like, you're extremely talented. I wish that I could be the one to say that I discovered you, but I'm broke.
I'm a former Detroit police officer and rode with the 1%er motorcycle club. During that time, I was involved in a lot of altercations. I had a gun shoved in my face. The trigger was pulled, and I got a plate under my left eye. I'm Manny Vitale, and this is my story. How you doing, everybody? Welcome to My Fight, Our War. I'm your host, Manny Vitale, with a lovely Gabriella Cacciola. Huh?
Yes, amazing.
I'm telling you, first try.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
There's this journey. Mm-hmm. There's so many different roads that this is going to take. Yeah. We're going to go from an illness to MMA to an amazing singing career.
Yes.
So people are going, oh, wait, sickness, illness, MMA, music. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, that's your life. I mean, this is actually a true story. And when you're dealing with the illness that we were talking about, I've actually been diagnosed with the same illness, but a different type. So you can relate to a lot of it, but and how hard it is. So it's going to be very interesting. A lot of hosts sometimes will want to get so much of a backstory of their guests. I'm not your typical host because a lot of times I'm just like, you know what, let's just wing this. Mm-hmm. That shock and awe, that aha moment that the viewers get, I want to get. So that's why, that's all I know about her. So let's just start out with a little bit about your background, who you are, where you're from.
Right. So my name is Gabrielle Cacciola. I was born in the Bronx, New York, and I was raised over here in Ridgefield, Connecticut. I am a singer-songwriter. I also have been a martial artist since the age of 9 years old. I also, like you were saying about the autoimmune disease, I have an autoimmune disease called Hashimoto's thyroiditis that affects my immune system, basically attacks my thyroid gland.
Okay. Now, with something like that, I mean, with autoimmune, it's so hard to diagnose because there's so many different, I know there's like lupus, Raynaud's, rheumatoid. Mine is mixed connective tissue.
Right.
So you could go along and there's Gabrielle, you have this. And then you tell them about another symptom. And they're like, oh, no, you don't. How long did it take before they found out what yours was?
It took a while. It wasn't until I really could be my own advocate and sit with myself and be like, I know that I'm not feeling good, and I know that all of these symptoms are just a little puzzle piece to the real problem, right? So by the time maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I started to get into holistic health and seeing a naturopath who had found these elevated thyroid antibodies, which is the trigger for the autoimmunity. Looking back on old blood work, seeing that as an infant, my SED rate, my C-reactive protein, which is the inflammatory markers in the body, were very elevated, right? So that right there is an indication that the immune system is not functioning properly. So from there, about maybe 12, 13 years old, looking back on blood work, I see that my thyroid antibodies were elevated. But my doctor never told my parents, right?
So here, you've had the proper, the lab work was done. Yes. The results are there, black and white, showing the plus minuses. And obviously yours, just like with autoimmune, are all over the place.
Yes.
And were you having symptoms at these times as far as?
Yes, I was having a lot of symptoms. I was having pain in the thyroid. There were also nodules and little cysts that were sitting on the thyroid. Then there were things where I grew up with a lot of anxiety, a lot of panic attacks. Obviously, the thyroid controls the metabolism, your body temperature. I would always get very cold. My weight would be elevated. My face was very, very swollen. Just everything, the mechanics of the body were just off. And obviously there was an underlying reason.
That's just amazing that it's that the proof's there.
Yeah.
The proof is there. So you pretty much had to, you like you said, you were your own advocate.
Yes.
So when it got to this point and you found this pattern, what was the next step that they finally came about, helping?
So the next step is addressing the root cause, right? So like hormonal function, getting your gut health right, because they say like the gut is the second brain, right? Learning as much as I possibly could about how to heal the whole body as one, not just as one part. That is what put me into remission. Learning about herbalism, taking herbs to help my cortisol levels, lowering stress. That was all a big part of the healing. It wasn't just, oh, here's some thyroid medication.
It's like a whole, you're right, it's not just pop this pill.
Right.
Once or 3 times, whatever it may be. It's a lifestyle.
Yes.
And
which had to change. I had to change it.
Because a lot of times you hear, and you just said it's a part of the puzzle. Here you're a lot of times you'll treat the symptom, but not the problem.
Yes.
And it's kind of like what happened with you is, but you started, you said it was affecting you where something minor as a little sniffle could turn into pneumonia. Or something like that.
Yes. Yeah, because my immune system wasn't able to fight it.
And yet they still weren't.
No.
Man, that's just insane.
No. So it started to affect my school life from being so young. I would miss a lot of education because I was always homesick to the point where it affected my friendships. Like people started bullying me in school, telling me I was making it up. Oh, why is she always in the nurse's office? Things like that. And it did affect those types of relationships as well. Yeah,
because of course she just wants attention.
Right. Yes.
So it's like that double-edged sword. Here you are asking for help. You go get the help, but yet the help that you should have gotten kind of just brushed it under the rug.
Yes.
And then thank God that you're your own person. And like you said, you took those steps to, keep pushing through.
Yes.
But still, that was a lot of years of sickness and heartache that you didn't have to go through.
Right. And it is difficult when you finally, you're like, something isn't right. And I'm still going to my doctor and they're telling me that I'm fine. They're telling me, no, everything's okay. It's in your head. And I'm like, I may be a little crazy, but I ain't that crazy.
We're all a little twisted.
Yes.
But still, and that's a terrible thing, man. You are going to a doctor. A lot of times you walk in, you see that white coat, you see MD, and you put so much faith into a person you don't even know. Their doctor, they said, I'm fine. And then to say, it's in your head. Worst thing you could say to somebody.
The worst.
And now you start second guessing yourself. Is it, is it me? Is it in my head? But you definitely seem like a very strong person, and thank God you are to take that on yourself to keep pursuing it. How is this affecting your family as far as your immediate family, as far as helping you, the support? How is that the support system?
I'm not a parent, but I can't imagine what it was like for my parents to kind of watch me be struggling and really knowing that my daughter really isn't feeling good, and I'm trying to go to these doctors and get this help. It can almost feel like hopeless. You know what I mean? Like, where do we go? What do we do? If I had a child, it would be like constantly searching for answers, just wanting them to feel okay. So now that I'm sort of in such a better place, I see them just, very happy, that I was my own advocate. And I think that for people who are newly diagnosed, and even still going to their doctor tells them, oh, there's nothing that you can do for it. They don't talk about their lifestyle, their diet, what foods are they eating, are they getting exercise, what's their stress like? So it can feel very, very, very overwhelming in the beginning.
Yes.
Because it's like, where do I start?
And the thing is, to that point, it's so overwhelming, you get overload.
Yes.
Because besides second guessing yourself, you're not the doctor, but yet you have to be. So here you are finding out, what helps, what doesn't. And like you said, too, different activities, different foods, different things that affect different levels.
Right.
You, as the patient, shouldn't have to be doing that. And that's what I mean about sometimes the trust that we have. And don't get me wrong, there's so many amazing, wonderful doctors out there.
Yes, I agree.
But at the same time, some of them need to kind of check themselves. You get your patient, their health is your main concern. And here they are just like, you're fine. No, you're not.
Right.
First of all, you're there. Second, you're there with symptoms.
Yes.
And now you've got definitive blood work. So, and then so not one of your doctors ever said to do the stuff that you just said, diet, food, anything like that. That was all on your own?
Yes. And then from there, I started working with an osteopathic medicine. And then I explored herbalism, Chinese medicine, and just learned as much as I could and see what worked for me and how to apply it. Other things like cutting out gluten, dairy, that was, cut down inflammation so quickly, even mentally, took away all the brain fog. Also infrared saunas, red light therapy, cold plunges will elevate those thyroid hormones like quick. And they're all things that you need to have a mentally strong state in order to stick with. Red light therapy really good at shrinking those thyroid nodules. There's so much.
And the thing is, man, that's so huge that you've done all that. What you just described and the stuff that you've investigated and have done to help yourself, there's people out there who are in the same situation, but don't follow through because it's like, well, it's just me. The doctor said I'm okay and this and that. Or they'll say, well, one of the things that you just said, the infrared or whatever, the herbal, they'll try that. It didn't work and that's it and give up.
Right.
You can't give up. Right. And you're living proof of that. And you could just, I have obviously never met before, but your lifestyle, you see people out running and playing as youngsters, as we're older, doing activities that older people do. And then as your lifestyle is, like I said, with your activity, MMA, and then a singer, that's a lot of stress on your body.
Yes, it is.
So, as far as these different things that are going to help you, you're actually doing things that were actually hurting you that you thought were helping you with the exercise and the training.
Right.
So
the overstimulation.
Talk about that a little bit as far as, your martial arts and everything.
So I grew up a martial artist. I started when I was 9 years old in Kung Fu. I went on to get my second degree black belt and my first degree to go and train at the Shaolin Temple in China with the monks, which was an amazing experience. I don't think that my autoimmune was so active then because it does have those flare-ups. It wasn't until a little bit before COVID had hit where all of my symptoms were probably the worst that they ever were.
What a time.
And instead of getting down on myself, I went, I'm going to go and train some MMA and I'm going to learn MMA. And my delusional self is I'm going to walk into a gym with some of the best UFC fighters in the world and I'm going to tell them that I want to go and train. And I was at Glover Teixeira's in Danbury, Connecticut, where Alex Pereira fights out of. And his sister was coming over from Brazil to train. And I said to her, I sent her a DM on Instagram. And I went in my little translation and I translated English to Portuguese. And I sent it to her. And I was like, hey, I would love to learn from you. I was like, she's never going to answer. Just took a shot. And I see her in the gym and she was like, I want to take you on as my student. And I was like, what?
And you're like, come on.
No way.
I'm being punked.
Right? So from there, I started training with her and learning from her and Alex and learning their fight style and Glover being there. And it's just really during the hardest part of my life with my autoimmunity was me really fighting not only physically, but also mentally with a disorder, with a chronic condition. As much as I tried to push through for 2 to 3 years there of actively training, And the training there is difficult. It's hard, right? I'm training here, with the top fighters.
These are professionals,
and trying to keep up, right? And being there 2 times a day. I wish that my body was able to handle it, but I was really, really drowning and struggling. My body was just not accepting all of the hard training. And it was probably the hardest decision for me to go, wow, I really have to stop. Like looking at my blood work, my doctors were begging me, Gabrielle, like, look at your thyroid numbers. Look at your thyroid hormones.
Oh, yeah, now they're looking
nothing's left. Look at your liver health. Look at your kidneys, the whole functions of even the female system. You have no female hormones left. What are you doing to yourself? And me needing to create balance between the training is where I'm at now.
Man, so how long were you training? How long were you able to train at that intensity before your body said, Gabrielle, I mean, how long were you there at that level?
I would say probably 2.5, 3 years. And I was like coming home after training and like I was shot.
So while you were at the gym, and obviously after that amount of time, these people know you.
Yes.
And they know you physically, your capabilities. They know your strength emotionally and spiritually and everything, what you do. Is it that noticeable where, we all have off days training where you're just not quite there. But what you were going through was your body was basically shutting down. So were there people like, hey, listen, I mean, we can really tell, or were you just really pushing through it that hard, which was making your body even that much more rebellion?
Yeah. Some people started to notice if I was like very swollen in the face or if I seemed extra fatigued. I really tried to hide it, but being as close as I was to Alini, the trainer, Alex's sister, we developed a relationship aside from just training. So she knew what I was going through. Like they would see me come in with like, I was getting a lot of blood work done at the time, and they would see the sticker and they would be like, hey, like, are you okay? Or my thyroid was very enlarged. So like around my neck, you could see it was swollen. So people knew, and some people would ask questions, but I really tried to hide it.
And you just keep pushing. And the thing is, I mean, you got that mentality, obviously. And, you're trying to push yourself through it, not knowing, just and sometimes we do know, but it's just like, if I give in, I'm letting that win. And I'm not going to let that happen. I will not be defeated by something. Right. Some things are out of our control where we need this help. And, I mean, that's just, so I just amazing that you were able to go 2.5 years or so at that level of training. And before it was like enough. So at that time, what did you have to back off completely, or what happened then?
I needed to take a good 2 months to really focus on the healing and be like, Gabrielle, right now you need to surrender. You need to just stop and you need to heal because not only could I not go on anymore, I couldn't progress any further. I felt like I was like, okay, I'm here now. If I want to get better and I want to come in here and have energy and be my best self, I can't produce the best product. I can't be my best self if I don't heal. And that was the breaking point for me. So
wow, I mean, you're in there, and we all know the training, the physical part. As people think, oh, that's the toughest. No, it ain't. You want to go in there, we'll kick ass with the best of them.
Right.
Mentally, I mean, you got to be right. I mean, that pain, when the pain starts, that's when you pick it up.
Yes.
I mean, that's our mindset, and that's the type of people we are. We go. But it just physically takes it out of you.
Yes.
And I wasn't sure how long you were going to say that. So you backed off for 2 months. And did you notice a big difference in just the way you felt physically, emotionally, everything in that 2 months?
Yes. My thyroid hormones started to level out again. My female hormones, everything started to work again. My inflammation went down. I started to be able to lose weight again. Because sometimes when your cortisol and stress is so high, your body is like, no, we're not safe right now. You can't lose weight. You can't get a good night's sleep. You're not okay. So yeah, everything started to shift for me.
Man, and that's just it too. We all know that we need rest, and I know for a lot of people, especially with your lifestyle,
Yes.
rest is what's rest. You need your sleep. I'll have people all the time say, you need what is it between 7 to 10 hours, whatever it is.
Right.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
7? And I was like, 3.5 if I'm lucky.
Right.
But so we are our own worst enemy at times, pushing ourselves. But to get to certain levels that we want to be at, like for you, MMA, for you as a singer, if you want to do it as a hobby, sure.
Right.
But that's not you.
Right.
You push. So how far are you? I mean, that's a lifestyle. The martial arts, MMA. So you're still active in all of that?
Yeah, right now I'm studying just boxing, and because right now,
right now, some people are like, I hate her.
The kicking, the takedowns. It's a whole. Oh my gosh, it's a whole other language, and it's right now with how my music career is going. That's really at the forefront, but I cannot ever lose. If I don't train in the morning or during the day, that is just, I am not okay. It's a part of me. There was a time where after my transition from Kung Fu to MMA, I had about 3-4 year break from studying martial arts at all. And I was like, for such a long time, what is missing in my life? My career was here, right? But there was just something missing. And the day that I put on the gloves and started hitting the bag again, I'm like, there it is.
I'm home.
Yes.
I'm in my happy place.
Puzzles together. And now everything can increase from there. The training and the music career. So that's where we're at now.
The connective tissue,
Yes.
instead of treating the symptom, putting this piece of the puzzle, let's put the whole thing together and just run with it. And you're just doing amazing, man.
Thank
with
you.
And I'm, as a fellow autoimmune person dealing with that as well, mine is mixed connective tissue, and it's just basically pain. I get the swelling of the hands, but they first thought it was this and that. They said, well, what you're going to notice is just basically pain. And I'm like, oh, thanks. But then they said, but some days are terrible. And they go, those flare-ups will get you. I go, well, what's it called? And they're like, flare-ups. I'm like, that's all that medical school? That's what you got? So, but it's the thing I have to remember is it's not going away.
Right.
And sometimes I forget that when I'm feeling good, because it could be a week, a month, 2 months, and then all of a sudden,
bam.
And that's,
Yes.
got to be the same with you.
Yes. And I think that could be mentally even really draining, as I'm sure you understand. You're out here enjoying your time, living your best life, and then you crash and people are like, oh, come on, get up. Are you being lazy? Right? And that's sort of the thing that I was going through with MMA, where I would have a constant flare-up. I didn't even realize I was in a constant flare-up because that was my new normal. And I kind of accepted it. So when I pulled back, I was like, oh, okay.
It's
a little
insane.
Bit of solitude.
It's insane. And I give you so much credit, man, because it does. It becomes the new normal, which really sucks.
Right.
Feeling pain, feeling down, feeling just very lack of energy is normal.
Yes.
But then you get those days where you get used to it, but then you get that flare up. It's like, what the shit?
Yeah, it's something different. It's something different.
I mean, so it just goes to show everything that goes into our bodies and how the body reacts.
Yes.
And it's not always take this pill. It's not always, there's other things.
Yes.
So we went from this illness that unfortunately is something that we manage. And then to your martial arts MMA, which is you are kicking ass. So that, and then we also got to talk about this amazing singing career.
Right.
So how did this all come about? How long have you been singing? And how did that story start?
So my parents are musicians. So I grew up with them, watching them be in shows, play all these gigs out, whether that's like orchestras, 5-piece rock bands, Sinatra stuff, like a very versatile mix. So I was never very boxed in. I was very, which I think definitely influences what my music sounds like now. There's so much influence, and I could pull and get inspiration from so much. So yeah, they're musicians, and they raised me a musician and also a martial artist, because my father's a martial artist as well. So I kind of...
Man, what a diverse. I mean, let's see. Am I going to kick ass today, or am I going to make some music?
You got to
do both.
Yeah.
And I got what you were saying, too, about how your career, your singing career, it's whatever. And all of a sudden, this is going good. This is going good. Why do I feel so bad? Well, it's autoimmune. But besides that, if you take something like training out of a trainer's life, that's going to throw that wrench in there.
Yes.
So you to be able to incorporate everything and still maintain that, I mean, that's great.
Thank you.
So, I mean, but as far as your singing there, so when did this all start? Obviously with your parents and all that, but how did you know that there was more to it than just, singing around the house?
So I think I started writing my own songs about 12, 13 years old, and I recorded my first song, and it's cute. Like, I listen back now and I'm like, wow, like that's really where so much creativity started. Out of high school, I signed with a big manager, and I, about a year after, so we had put out, it's weird thinking back on it now because there's so much, It's
gotta be insane.
Yeah.
I mean, doing something that you do, that's what, I'm a singer, but now there's contracts. Now there's
labels, and they're like
managers and stuff. So, I mean, how does that even, I can't even imagine. How does that come into your life?
Right. So, when you're young and you have all these people being like, I want you, I want you, I want you. And they're telling you, I want you to sound like this. I want you to look like this. I want you to be like this. And at that age, you kind of gravitate towards it, right? So there was a independent pop label that came around, and they're like, we want you. Oh, yeah, you go and sign the contract real quick, right? And you're in the studio, and I'm singing this pop music, and I was just like, I remember saying to my parents, it's just not me. It's just not me. I'm not happy here. And long story short, about a year and a half after to making all this music, the label owner had texted me and was like, you're extremely talented. I wish that I could be the one to say that I discovered you, but I'm broke. Label the whole entire time had no money. Everybody that I was working with for that time, the producers, the studio, were not getting paid.
And
nobody got compensated. And that is where it's like, if I were to ever, you get lawyers involved now, you know what I mean? And you make sure that the budget is there, because doing these things is, especially independently, does not come with a small budget. It does take a lot to make this work, not only financially, but mentally. So yeah, that's sort of what happened there.
So is this the very first label, the first one you signed for? That was your first label, then your first experience.
My first experience.
Was, Gabriella, I love you and all that, but you know what? We're broke.
Yes,
sorry.
Broke. Never heard from him ever again.
Oh my God! You know, I'm just now starting to dabble with that person I was telling you about, our show we do, which I definitely want to talk to you about. The stuff he's telling me. The main thing as a singer is just your passion. Like you said in the studio, this isn't me. He's like, you got to sing what you have to sing. But then when the business side came in, he goes, Manny, you better surround yourself with someone you trust. And what happened after that then?
So then after that, I was independently putting out music and playing some nice shows and just doing the whole artist thing. Then from there, during the period of me training MMA at Glover Teixeira's, was a good 3 or 4 years where I really sat with myself and I was like, I'm going to develop myself as an artist. Now, what does that mean? How do I want to present myself? What things do I want to say in my music? How do I want to make somebody feel when they listen to my voice or my lyrics, right? That's all artist development, and that takes a long time, right? So I was in the studio experimenting with a whole bunch of different sounds, different things, trying to, be a little rappy or trying R&B, pop, or just experimenting and see who am I?
Who are you?
Right? So that when I was ready and I exactly knew, I could come out and be like,
this is Gabriella.
Right. I wasn't posting on social media. I wasn't an active artist. I was just behind the scenes working on, obviously, my MMA, working on my craft alone. Sometimes they say, what is the quote? Don't work in silence, or don't speak until you're ready, right?
Yes,
so
yes.
that was the whole process of what I was doing. And I took my time with it so that I could be in the spot where I am now.
That is, and you know what? That's the smartest thing to do, man. And a couple of things you hit on is be happy with yourself.
Yes.
And I keep going back to the studio. This wasn't you. And you know what? I don't believe in coincidences. Things happen because of God.
Yes.
And I so believe that. And for that terrible thing to happen with that label is the best thing that ever happened to you.
The best.
You weren't meant to be there. And then you got to be able to take that step back. You did that, reinventing or finding Gabriella. And now by doing that is just awesome.
Right.
So, I mean, now with all that, I mean, how are you still, like the trust with these labels, how does that even come into play now?
Right. So I have an amazing manager right now. His name is Conrad Robinson.
Shout out to Conrad.
Let's go, Conrad.
Yes.
So let me see. I don't even think I've known him for about a year. He was doing vocal lessons, right? And I didn't know about anything that he's done in the past or his successes. And as we're doing vocal lessons, maybe 2 or 3 times, he was like, you're the artist. And he was like, I want to be on your team. And I was like, okay, really? Then I started to learn about who he's worked with, who him and his brother have developed and signed to their MBK Entertainment, Alicia Keys and her. And I'm like, now me? You know what I mean? Like, you want me to be a part of you? And Conrad is somebody that I fully trust. We have built such a great relationship around God, and he's opened my eyes so much and given me a more spiritual awakening. And that's when I knew that, wow, I really am I'm in the right place. And so I just got back from Miami. I was working with him and another artist who's also a producer, whose name's Tone Stith. And we were working on a whole bunch of music, working on an album, working on whatever creative ideas come to play, right? So that's where we're at right now.
Just the way you're talking about Conrad, right?
Yes.
Is you could see the look and happiness compared to this other individual who said that I'm broke, and the way that God, it was that saying is, it's God's will and it's God's time, not ours.
Yes.
And it took me a long time to not believe it, but just accept it in here. And after I did, it was just like, man. Yes.
My life is opening up.
It is, and what is meant to be is meant to be. What you think is an opening is not. And that door opens, yes, but it's meant to slam in your face, because that door is the one, and that's what's happening to you.
Right.
And that's it. So as far as what do we expect as far as some music and upcoming stuff, I mean, I'm really looking forward to talking to you a lot more after this to discuss what we were talking about. What's in the future? What's in the plans here?
So right now we are looking to drop at least 3 singles before we put out a project. My first single we are thinking about dropping by the end of January. So now it's the rollout strategies, it's the photo shoots, and the PR and all of that go in between it. Everybody thinks, oh, you just go in and you make a song and you drop it. Well, where's the fans? Where's the promotion? Where's anything? So this is what we're in the middle of doing right now, is curating all of those things. And it's so fun to really sit with the song and be like, how do I visually want to show this to a viewer? Like, if you were to listen to this, what do I want you to see? What do I want you to see in a music video, right? Because a lot of the things that I also do right come from a special place, right? So if I were to take like the first 2 lines of whatever song that I'm thinking about, for example, we're working on a song right now that the lyrics I had for about 2 years. Right? So I'm going to a studio session. It takes really quick just to go in 30 seconds, go in, figure out the chords, right? And I'm sitting with it and I'm like, now is the time I want to use the lyrics from when I was sitting in not such a good place, right? My autoimmunity's flaring up and in bad relationship, writing these lyrics, and I saved them. And I'm like, they're going to go here, right? So with that being so important to me, now what visually do I want to present and show? And it's just an amazing process.
That, just hearing that, like we were talking about, so much going into the music. For people like me, it's like, I hear the music, I like the music, that's it, which is fantastic. That's what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
But, for you, like you just said, okay, but there's so much more behind music. And ever since with my sobriety, looking at life through clear eyes, through a clear mind, through a clear soul, is such a gift,
yes,
such a gift.
Is. Yes.
That the things I took for granted, never again will I ever.
Right.
Sunrises, sunsets, the wind, the kids laughing, walking in leaves. As silly as that sounds.
No, it doesn't.
Every day I just get a little.
Yes, of course.
But for you, when you're singing, like I said, that friend of mine who we host a show together now, we talk about it. It's a passion, man. You're touching people's deepest emotions.
Yes.
And what you just said, you're singing a song. Those lyrics you kept around for a reason, and to put here. But what do you want to put to that when they're watching your video? And if you put the wrong, visual to this, I mean, obviously a business decision,
right? But
that's got to be overwhelming. I mean, just incredible.
Yeah, but there's also the other side of being overwhelmed because you're like, I have these great lyrics, but I don't have the track. I don't have the musicians to create it, or it's not right yet. And then when it finally is, now there's no more overwhelm. It's like, God, I see your plan. I understand the why. You know what I mean? Even in the darkest of moments, I understand the why.
Man, that's a lyric right there.
Yeah.
That is a freaking lyric right there. In the darkest moments, there's...
I understand the why? Is that what I said?
In the darkest moments, I now understand the why. We may have just written our first song together.
I think so.
You know what? I am available.
Okay.
I will come on as your writer.
I'll be the theme song for this.
My Fight Our Wars theme song by Gabriella Cacciolucci. Give me one more shot. Come on.
Cacciola.
Gabriella Cacciola is going to be doing our theme song.
A theme song. I'm so excited. I'll book the studio time after this.
Hey, we'll do some
It'll be great.
Hey, weirder thing. And remember what we were saying. There's no such thing as coincidence.
Never.
And man, I tell you, your story is just incredible, man.
Thank you.
And just to get in on this isn't for you. This is like the first floor for me, getting the so honored that you came on here. When talking to Matt about getting some, because I'm from Detroit. We have our studio in Detroit. But every 6 weeks we come out here now and we're filming here. And we're all over the place now. And when he told me about you, it was like, yes, thank you. And thank you.
Of course.
Because, I mean, all the different things that you hit on with My Fight or War, it's just, it's more than addiction and mental health. It's a comeback story about everything. And you nailed it all with the autoimmune and your MMA and your tenacious, self that you are. And now your music. I mean, God is good.
Yes. And thank you so much for having me because, like I said, with everything that I've gone through, I really feel like my purpose right now is to share knowledge, to help other people, not to be like, oh, pity me, poor me, I went through this, but how can I help you now?
Yeah. And, well, first, please don't kick my ass, or please be with me if I'm getting my ass kicked.
Right.
And two is with your music, touching people's souls, and by sharing, you got so many different levels, but with your the skills that you have acquired with your autoimmune that you had to do on your own is incredible. And there's people out there, unfortunately, who are walking around in a fog because they unfortunately don't have the strength or the support that others have, or are maybe too afraid to push or to rock that boat to upset the doctor.
Yes.
I don't want to question them. For people who may be dealing with autoimmune like we are, what advice do you have? Because you didn't take no for an answer.
Right.
So what advice would you have for someone who's struggling, or symptoms or signs or anything like that? Just any advice in general.
I would say your body doesn't make mistakes. So listen to it and be your own advocate. Don't be afraid to go outside of the box and trust yourself, because God and you know.
I've got a lot of friends who are doctors, and we were talking, and doctors can diagnose, but you know your body.
Yes.
They can't feel what you're feeling. So that is so true.
Yes.
And, as well as like with your MMA, sometimes people look at people and, people, they judge by appearance.
Yes.
So I'm sure you have people all the time that look at you, they're like, yeah, right. And not knowing that you'll kick the shit out of them about snapping a finger. But as far as, that little girl who's looking up to you at so many different levels, who might be that little girl who's sick. You're just proof without giving up, having faith in God and all this stuff. You could be where Gabriella is.
Yes, thank you.
And
thank you so much.
I just really appreciate you taking the time to come on here, and I definitely want to be following more of your journey and all the different levels. I mean, as a fellow autoimmune, patient, the knowledge is the key, and so that goes. But especially with your music career, and just blossoming as well.
Thank you.
So that's great. Where did you? The next big thing is it promoting the video right now, or the meet and greets? Is that what you're in the process of?
Yeah. So right now we're doing the promotion side. So it's like a lot this week. We're doing a lot of photo shoots, a lot of filming for a billboard that's going up in Times Square, which I'm really excited about.
Come on, let's hear about this. When?
So I'm not sure exactly when it's going up, but we're filming Wednesday of next week. And you guys will see that in Times Square. So I'm really excited about that. And
that's
the photo
huge.
shoots. Yeah. So I'm excited about it. And I'm excited for people then to gravitate towards seeing our interviews and learning more about me and sharing knowledge, and how can we help others, right? Even in the autoimmune community, I think it's important for us all to be here for each other and be like, oh, this practice works for me. Why don't you try this out? This is something new. Instead of gatekeeping all this information, I don't think any of us go through it for just any reason, right? There has to be a bigger purpose to it all.
There is. And you know what, Gabrielle, you just nailed it. That's one thing I do with my Fight or War. As I've said from day one, we are a family. And one thing I will never do is tell people, you have to do this to recover. You have to do this to maintain your sobriety. You have to. What we do, and what I stress, is we share. We share information, opinions. You know what? This worked for me. It might not work for you.
Right.
But this is like you just nailed what My Fight or War stands for. So, I mean, I would be honored to have you come on with My Fight or War as a member. And, you just sparked a few things, too, as far as the autoimmune community.
Yes.
Because a lot of times, unless you have it, it's kind of like with addiction. If it's not in your life or bothering you, it kind of just, it's not even in the conversation.
Right.
But that's something that also I'd like to talk to you, too, about, is maybe bringing a more awareness to the autoimmune.
Yes.
So if that's something you're interested in.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, it's not like you have a busy schedule with everything else.
But even it's important to me. So I will of course, make the time. But even for families, people who have somebody in their family struggling with autoimmune, I've gotten a lot, well, you don't look sick. Well, you don't look, right?
Yeah.
Does autoimmune have a look? Does it have so there's a lot of stereotype around it.
There is. And you know what? You just hit on something else. Not only us dealing with it, but the family members.
Yes.
a lot of them are kind of lost in the fog too. It's like, well, wait a minute. What are we missing? Maybe the education for our family and friends,
Right.
key things to look at. So the next family member who's like, well, wait a minute, my daughter, she's been acting a little bit off and having some of these symptoms, could be on the road to recovery for them too.
Right.
I would definitely love to talk to you more about it afterwards. And if this is something, obviously you're traveling all over the place, and I can't wait to see you. You're was one way but up, and you're on that path, and I'm so looking forward to watching it grow.
So much.
And to have you part of my Fight Our War in any way would be an honor and a privilege. But and so many different levels. One with the illness, with the MMA, with the tenacity and trading to feel better about yourself.
Right.
And of course, your amazing music can help so many people. So we will talk about that as well.
I appreciate it.
Again, Gabrielle, thank you so much. And where can people find you on social media? Please light it up where we can follow you.
Everything is my first and last name. Maybe we could put it here right in the video. So it's Gabrielle
Matt, you got
Cachula,
that?
first and last name, put it here. And all my music links will be on Spotify, Apple Music. It'll be out on all streaming platforms.
And please, you got to check her out. Go to Spotify, go to iTunes. You said everywhere, right?
Yes,
and we'll be
everywhere. Everywhere.
Please buy it, listen to it, support it, because you're looking at a star, not only in the music industry, but in life. She is helping people by sharing a painful story, man. Autoimmune is no joke, because there is no cure. And, to do what you're doing and pushing just shows the tenacity. So, again, thank you guys so much for, being part of this amazing family. Please check us out at My Fight Our War. And again, Gabriella, it's been an honor.